Members of the company, this is your Places call. Places, please. Places for the top of the podcast. Places, please.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the glitz and not-so-glam of Broadway, education, and everyday life with Uncommon Sense. Join hosts Christopher Smith and Sharna Lopez as they bring you the best stories and shenanigans that seemingly prove how elusive common sense can really be. So take a little time for yourself to hang out with the dynamic duo Charnopher. And no leaving early, because you might just miss that 11 o'clock number.
Stand by music. Music, go.
Uncommon sense, the 11 o'clock number. And we are Charnopher.
Oh, it's a party!
It's a podcast.
You guys, we have a guest today. I'm just going to cut right to it because as much as I love Christopher, I actually really love when we have guests because then it's a party,
it's a
extra party with extra friends.
That's right.
If you are not watching, but thank you, Charna fans, to our people who watch
on the YouTube.
on YouTube. Stay strong, and keep carrying on. But for all of our Charna fan listeners out there, we have a special guest today. Christopher, would you like to introduce him with the pronunciation of his name done correctly?
Here's the thing I also realized, Sharna, we say all these build up and it's like only people are watching that don't know who's on there, but then we're like always putting the name of who's on the podcast in the episode title, but it's cool.
Well, that's lame. I'm going to change that. It'll be like, and secret guest, ...
Right. And then every episode will say that. So yes, we have a fun guest today and his name is Tylor with an O, not Tyler with an E, because Tyler with an O goes or not And then he's laughing.
It's Tylor Scott Jenkins, which is such a great name, by the way. Tylor Scott Jenkins. He even came with a coffee and a water. He's prepared. What kind of coffee did you bring, Tylor?
Because I'm a true Charnophan. And Christopher Smith talked about the chestnut praline. That's what I got. So thank you, Starbucks, sponsor us.
I love that. Hey, that's a good one. Yes. As he drinks it with a happy, smiley face. I'm going to share with you. We're going to get into who Tylor is and how we know him. And he's an awesome human. But the most hilarious thing just happened right before we got on here. I've known Tylor for, oh my gosh, Tylor, 10 years, probably 8 years.
I think it's been like 11, 12. I'll do the math on it right now.
Holy moly. Oh, that's right. Cause my son, that's right. So over a decade. And I was today years old when, I learned that he spells his name O-R. Like I was Tylor's teacher and director for, several years and just learned today. So that's why we had to do the Tylor with an O and an E, whatever that little amazing.
Also, do you know what that is, Sharna?
No, and don't judge me.
I'm not judging. Did you hear me judge you yet?
Your face looked judgy.
Oh, well, that's just my face. Sorry. That's just the
what
way
is
it
it
looks.
From?
It's
Liza
just
Minnelli.
Liza. It's Liza with a Z, not Lisa. Yeah. It's Liza with a Z,
I
not
do
Lisa
know
with
that.
an S.
I
Lisa
wasn't
with an S goes snot.
Yep, I wasn't connecting it. That was
Yes.
really difficult for my brain.
That's okay. It's
I'm here
morning. It's morning. It's all good.
We'll get there.
But we have the fabulous Tylor Scott Jenkins with us. And here's what I love about how this came to be. I'm just going to, if you don't mind, Christopher, can I take the lead on how Tylor got on to our show?
I'm going to go for a break. I'll be back.
So rude. Okay, so Tylor is an alumni of the Orange County School of the Arts, where both Christopher and I work, and was a fabulous student while at OSHA. And we'll talk about some stuff, while we were there and whatnot. Tyler was my TA, which was a huge part of how I got to know him a lot more. And one of, if any of my other TAs are listening, don't be offended, but probably my best TA, just really involved and really on it and wanting, like, instead of just being like, I'm a lazy senior who wants to be a TA, like he really wanted to be a TA. And I really enjoyed that. And we sort of stayed in touch through social media-ish. And then he reached out this year and was like, hey, can I come back to OSHA and do like a masterclass? Which honestly, having alumni come back for me is so much more beneficial and I think full circle moment than having random professionals or people, oh, I know this famous person or this person's so cool, because they know the school, they know the kids, and they know the journey. And so Tyler came back, and as we were chatting before the the masterclass, or in between his two, we were like, we have a podcast, and he's like, what? And then he proceeded to like binge the entire podcast and was like, so if you ever want me on, and I was like, yes. So that's how Tyler ended up here today. But we got to talk about Tyler's journey.
Charnopher.
He is. I mean, he brought the chestnut praline and everything. Okay, Tyler, do you want to tell us?
Is have merch. That's literally the only thing he could do.
I mean,
do you know
he'd be the first person I feel like I'd send it to.
I almost got some, but then I wanted like a t-shirt to wear on this episode of the podcast, but you guys don't have t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah.
It was thought about. I did visit the website.
None of the stuff is on t-shirts.
I feel like, what do you feel about this, Tyler? Give me your input as a guest on the show. What if for the holidays we got t-shirts made and we sent them to all of our guests, our previous guests, like as a little thank you? I'm
going to say yes. Either way, I will take a shirt. But if y'all have stickers too, right?
He's gonna take it.
I will absolutely take it. Okay,
that's how it started. Because I was like,
that's the seller.
Yeah, the water bottle stickers was just the inspiration.
Yeah,
love it. Tyler, do you want to kind of give our Charna fans and all of our listeners a little like Tyler recap on sort of your journey, how you met us, and just like your life journey and to where you are now? Yeah.
I initially did not want to come to OSHA. My mom actually submitted my application for me. I didn't care to. I didn't know anything about the school. I was like, no, I don't want to, just because I wanted an opinion on something. And then I ended up going to the school. And I loved it. It was great, so much so that I left and then I came back, because that's just the Tyler way, I guess. And so loved OSHA. I'm trying to think. I graduated and then I went straight to working.
So when were you here? When did you leave? And when did you come back?
I came in for my 7th, 8th grade year, left freshman, sophomore, came back for junior, senior.
Okay.
It was a cute little back and forth. But it was nothing the school did. I just thought, because 12-year-olds know everything. And I was like, I'm going to be able to work so much more if I just go to a public school. Then I ended up doing the public high school's production of The Wizard of Oz for the 3rd time in my life, and was like, I'm good. I need to go back. So
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah. And I just missed you both so much, so I just had to come back. Yeah. So did that. Then what did I do right afterwards? I joined. I went to Disney and have been there for 5 years now. It's been great. I left and I did a cruise line contract recently from October to June. That was fun. Went to Europe, all the Bahama, literally anything over there. The Virgin Islands, all the Bahamas. It was stunning, gorgeous. And then, I got my BFA in musical theater at Cal State Fullerton while I was at it. But I started at Fullerton. I forgot.
No big deal. Just like that's.
I did that. That was done. But I started at. This could be a full thing too, because I started at Fullerton College and then transferred after 2 years to go, because I believe in the community college path. I could have gone to BOCO, could have gone there. No issue with the school. I just didn't want to be thousands of dollars in debt. I still was done in 4 years. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that too. I think the more that we can get people hearing that, and not just from, 3011s and like actual people who have just recently come out of college. When we did college fair a few weeks ago at OSHA, we had a lot of people really starting to lean in support of community college. And I think
Good.
it just, community college is so different now than it was years ago. And it's so great to hear a success story of like, yeah, do that, save the money. You can still end up with the same degree and get through the same program. But I also like that was like the little side thing, like almost just like, and then I bought an ice cream, like, and
Yeah.
then I got
Oh
my
yeah, I got my
BFA.
degree too.
So, couple things, Tylor. I was wondering about one. Remind me what shows we did together. I know at least
Oh.
2 that I can remember. The big one I remember is Jasper and Deadland.
Yes.
That's the big one I remember.
With previous guests.
But you did
Me-
other things.
Yeah. Did
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Did I just finished her episode? It was really good. Did
Yay.
Jasper, did Drowsy, and then Guys and Dolls.
Oh, that's right. That was my second show I played at OSHA ever.
Okay.
Guys and Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I love the music in that show. I really do. It's
Yeah.
about 45 minutes too long, but
Yes.
I do like that show.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'll do it again. It was just so long.
And then, yeah, fair. And then my second question is, I want you to talk a little bit about your cruise line experience and how that was for you, because I didn't do it personally, but from the outside, I'm a huge proponent of doing that, especially right out of school or right out of college or whatever, before you get settled in. So I just
Yeah, the
wanted to hear
goods,
a
the
little bit about
bads.
your
Give us everything.
experience.
I highly recommend anyone that has the ability to do a cruise line contract after school, go do it. It is a great way to, even though I didn't, and that is no one else's fault but mine, it is a great way to save money. I just here's the thing. Here's the cruise line life. You get to eat the same food every day. Because if you've ever been on a cruise, it's kind of the same buffet foods, same over and over again. Well, imagine being on that boat for 8 months. They're not giving you variety.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So if you can get off the boat when you're off time while you're in Cozumel, Mexico, have good food, good drinks, enjoy your time, it makes you feel like a human. So I didn't save money. Also, if I was going to Europe, I'm sorry, going to Greece, like Santorini, I'm going to spend the money and get off the boat and go live my life, because I'm not just booking a flight to Greece
Totally.
for fun.
Totally.
So, but
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
My sister would say the same thing about when she toured. Like all of her tours, her national tours she went on, people would save up on these national tours and come home and buy homes. And, my sister was able to save some money. She did. She saved quite a bit. But she's like, if I'm going to be in these places that I've never been before, that's kind of part of the point of doing something like this, is to see these places. Like, there's no way in the world that I would go to Greece and then be like, well, I'm just going to stay on the ship and have this random cheeseburger. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That is like insane, right? You got to get out. Like, I think a huge attractive aspect of any sort of tour or cruise ship is that exact thing, like experiencing the new places. Spend that money, buy the shoes, eat the cake.
Oh, yeah.
Let them eat cake. So then with that, what was because I don't always know. I feel like I've gathered different aspects of information. Like, what was your job on the cruise ship? Like, were you just a performer? Not that it's just, but like, were you able to be just a performer, or did you have to do other jobs as well?
No one, at least for Disney Cruise Line, does like, quote unquote, these are air quotes for you Spotify listeners, other jobs. Like, we just, you do what you were contracted to do. So like, mine was to be a part of our character team. So as well as like performing in the shows, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I would also, like, I guess, how would you view it? Like, run the lines. So I would like be in front of the line with Mickey Mouse and helping with that interaction, or like cutting off the line, or like doing that sort of thing. But that was still our operation. but I never once had to like help tear down a set for a show that we were a part of, because like that's just our technical team on the boat. Like,
You're like, not stage crew, not stage crew.
no.
Yeah. So as a line, this is very important. As a line controller, I'll call you. Did you ever make children cry because you had to shut the line?
No, I mean, we can do a full episode on
Good.
just guests aboard the Disney Dream on my time there. Because parents think I public service announcement, if it is your birthday, I will say happy birthday with a smile on my face. If I cut off the line 25 minutes ago, I'm still not going to let you in. You've had 5 days on this boat. It's not my fault that you waited till the last day for the last meet and greet and you showed up after the advertised set time to come meet Mickey Mouse. You've had all cruise. That is not my issue.
Correct.
I'll let you say it, Christopher Smith.
Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine.
Thank you.
And goodbye.
I mean, full circle moment right there. Way to tag it. I think, honestly, that's really interesting to me because I also feel, at least the things I hear about cruise lines and people who work on cruise lines, they've got great stories and these experiences. And people think, the people who work on the cruise lines, they get to perform and sing and how fun for them. That kind of stuff. And we've talked about it a bit in other episodes, like learning customer service is such a lost art on young people. And I just had a discussion with a student the other day who hates their job. I think they work at Jamba Juice or Nectar or something like that. And I'm like, look, Queen, hopefully you're not going to work at Nectar for the rest of your life, but you got to learn how to deal with people because we surround ourselves with people that we like hanging out with, that we enjoy their company. And to learn to deal with a crazy mom who wants her kid to meet Mickey or people who have different needs and personalities, I think it's such a good life experience and obviously makes for great stories. But I'm grateful that you get to kind of like you had to deal with that kind of stuff. I wanted to ask Tylor, do you think working at Disneyland before going on the cruise was helpful in any way? Like you kind of knew the Disney way already, or did it make a difference?
Yes and no. So I'm back at the resort now, and there I'm just a performer. So it's like, and it's not, everything I did not involve me talking to guests there. I worked in like every other aspect, but not in the way of having to communicate with the guests, whether that be I'm just waving or I'm just dancing. Like there's still that barrier there. But with cruise line, it was like, okay, I know the necessities of like how to perform and what I need to do when it comes to the performing aspect. But when it came to customer service, I am so fast and I'm so quick. There's a role that I did. If you're watching, you get to know. Think of these colors and think of Marvel. Great role for me because very fast, very quick.
Yeah.
And if I need to be assertive, I can do it so fast. So channeling that was a great outlet for me on cruise line. That was a good little thing. But when I didn't have that and it was myself, I was like, okay, this is really testing my patience. Like if making a kid cry, the parents would always be like, can you tell my daughter that she can't meet Mickey Mouse? That was music to my ears. They were making my shift. Absolutely, I can. So yeah. I'll get down to their level.
Yes.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you? Good. That's amazing. So Mickey Mouse has got to go to the bridge because, we need to make sure that we get back to the port of Miami safely. But he'll be back out for our last meet and greet tonight at 10:15, where we get to say bye to all of our friends that you've met on this ship. So if you're here at 10:15, you get to meet Mickey Mouse. Isn't that so exciting? Yeah. Okay. Make sure you're here at 10:15. Okay. Okay. And then look at the parent and be like, cool, I'll see you at 10:15. That's it.
Yes.
Like 10:15, not 10:30, not 10:45, 10:15, or carry on with your not meeting Mickey.
And also, Tylor's so much better, like to discuss with the kid.
Yeah, I'll discuss with the kid, or when the parents are like, it's like, well, they don't stay up that late. That's their bedtime. And there was one point, and I'm not saying this was correct, and I should have gotten in trouble for it, but because it was just a hard cruise. The shorter the cruises are, the worse the guests are. That's just a fun fact. 3-day cruises, bane of my existence. The 7-day, love them.
Interesting.
But the 3, because they expect more in a shorter period of time. So it would be like, oh, my kid doesn't stay up that late. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I only control when our characters come out. I don't control when you put your child to bed. That was one thing that I said. And I was like, ooh, I might have to get in trouble for that one. Don't do that. If you work in customer service, you'll know that was wrong. That was not the correct thing to say. But they really test you. They test you real good.
I think it's such a great it's good for development of just humans, you know. Two things that I really want my own kids to do is work a customer service job and wait tables. Two things, even if it's just for a short period of time, for you to understand, because every human needs to experience customer service on both sides. I think I cannot handle when I see people like my oldest, my stepdaughter worked at Home Depot for a while and in customer service, like not even like in, and some of the stories she would come back and tell me, I was like, this is actual bananas. But at the same time, it's really great because you have such a respect on the other end, right? If you are to ever go on a cruise, if you are to ever be in a position whenever later in your life, now you have a different mindset looking at how you're treating those people. You know, I think it's so healthy. I hope my kids are able to do that. Christopher, did you ever work any customer service jobs?
I did not. My only customer service jobs were my teaching stuff, like my private teaching. Yeah, because you still have like crazy people you have to deal with. Because you know everybody thinks little Sally is going to be a star, and you're like, maybe, but as of right now, no, thank you. Right?
Oh my gosh, I know. I love that. So you were on the ship for how long?
On the ship for 8 months.
8 months. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the standard contract, right?
For a cruise line, I definitely misspoke. It's normally a 9-month contract, and you spend 2 months in Toronto, Canada, where Disney Cruise Line is like based out of for their rehearsal studios, and then it's 7 months on the boat. But I only did 16 days in Toronto because I was coming late from working at Disneyland and transfer paperwork and all that jazz. And then I was on the boat for 7 months.
That's like, it's, I guess when you tour too, like my sister, one of her tours, I think it was Greece. She toured for years. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I guess at that point, 7-8 months is like a drop in the bucket. But do you ever did you get seasick at all? Like, or does your body completely acclimate to the boat?
No, I never did. I think there was actually only a few times where I was like, ooh, this is a little rough, but CCOM or Dramamine become your best friend. And a lot of the time you'll know either during the day, like, oh, it's going to be a rough night. Or there was, I think, 1 or 2 cruises where our management, because we had a meeting before every cruise, our team, and our management would be like, this cruise is going to be rocky. Be fully aware, like sleep, hydrate, take your CCOM, do whatever you need to do to like make it through.
CCOM? I've never heard of that, Christopher. Have you heard of CCOM? I've heard of Dramamine, but not CCOM.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Dramamine can make people drowsy, but CCOM not so much.
Okay, good to know. So now Tyler, you're back and you're working at the resort here in Anaheim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got not reconnected, but that's how I got to see him again in person. I was so glad that you reached out, and he was able to come to school and do 2 master classes with 2 sets of students, and dance with them. And I loved watching you and your energy and the kids. I didn't watch the first one, but I came in the second one, and the kids were like so sweaty. They were like, because he was, let's go. And I was like, this is the Tyler that I remember. Like, we're gonna do it. We got to do this. And the kids are like, oh my gosh, what's happening? It was amazing.
That's also just how the real world is. Like, I feel like not like it happened a lot specifically at OSHA. This is not targeted. It's just throughout development in high schools. I noticed like there's a lot of not babying, but it's like we're going to grow into it and work with the students' time. When in the real world, it's like, no, we're not going if you can pick it up or not. Here's the deadline. Here's what we need. We need to go now. You need to figure it out.
Yep.
So like anytime there's a class being taught,
that's
like,
so
let's go.
good to hear. Yes, so they can have a small slice. And I think at any school, obviously we can speak to OSHA because we both work there. You went there. You live in this bubble of like, oh my gosh, this is how we do things. This is how we're allowed to, I don't want to say get away, but we can push the boundaries here and we can wait. And maybe I turn this in late, or maybe I don't come fully prepared and I don't know my stuff. And I do try. I know Christopher and I are on the same page with this. And I do try, and I'm going to talk about Into the Woods real quickly. I had a tech rehearsal with my Into the Woods kids where I think, Christopher, I talked to you afterward where I was like, I think I just like crushed all of their dreams and their goals and their lives and they hate me now. And in reality, no, it's the opposite, is that they need sometimes to hear you guys are sucking. Like that's what I know. Because I just was like, you're better than this, right? It's not that you suck and you just suck. It's that you're being lazy or we're not focused. That's a big one for me, right? And it's like, if you're going to do something, do it well and do it with all of your energy. And it's good to know that like when you get in the real world and hearing from someone like you who is younger and closer to their age, like, guys, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of our students look up to people who work for Disney and who are part of, the Disney team, especially, I mean, anywhere, but especially Southern California, a lot of these kids, that's a goal of theirs. And to know like, hey friends, you don't get to just come in and like half-ass your way through it. You've got to jump in and give it 300%. And that's how you're going to be successful.
I think that was like my big success with Disney is that I've, what show was that? This is going to be a rough one. This is so embarrassing. Cabaret. Cabaret, I was not Disney related, but it connects. Cabaret.
This is so embarrassing.
I wanted to say Chicago, but I was like, that's not Chicago. What show was I a swing for? Not Chicago. Oh my goodness. For Cabaret, swinging a show for Cabaret at Cal State Fullerton, and then also there's a show at Disney called Fantasmic, and I was like, kind of think of it like a swing. I was a standby, so essentially anything that didn't require a height, I could do, and then anything in my height range or the way that I looked, like I fit in there. And the only reason I got both of those positions is just because you only get, out of every experience, you only get what you put into it. And so I was always like, no, I want to be like working the hardest. I want to be doing the most, like, because I know I'm capable of more than that, of just doing like I'm not, this is a quote that I love saying. I'm not a one track gal. Like I just love knowing all the things. So it's like,
Yeah.
I 100% believe like you need to put 300% into everything that you do, because otherwise like you'll just stay in a box.
Swinging is like one of the most difficult things. I have a friend who I've been talking about getting on the podcast. So I keep telling Christopher, but she was a swing for a really long time on Broadway, and listening to her talk about how that has to happen in your brain and all the things you have to know and to be ready and on and go. I think doing that is such a testament to someone's ability to go above and beyond. Like you said, you're not a one track gal. Like, I want to know all this stuff. I want to have that all coming at me. I want to feel like I can jump in or step in. I also think that's a kind of a brain of a director a bit, Tyler, of like, I want to know all the stuff and feel like I'm putting things together. I could step in over here. I know what's happening over here. I'm not just like waving my flag in the air. You know what I mean? Because there are people who do that, and they're Christopher thinks that's funny, but it's true. You've seen them on stage all the time, and you're like doing your own show by yourself. You're not connected. You don't know what's happening. And I think the full out, and I love that quote. You're gonna get what you give. Whatever energy you give and commitment you give is what you're gonna get out of that situation. Totally.
Tylor, that's just how you're going to be pronounced for all time. Just
no, please, no. That's a pet peeve.
Okay, I'll take it back.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just glad I know. Like, how did I not know your entire time?
Have I never told you my story about my name?
No.
Okay, set the scene. It's October 13th, 2000. It's the day I'm born. A great day in history. And the doctors prior... a moment of laughter. The doctors have told my parents for months that I was going to come out a woman. And so I came out not, well, I came out
Oh.
later in life, but like I came out not a woman. And my parents were like, oh, okay, so this is not little Savannah Mae Lynn. This is we don't know. And so they were
we
we don't know. We don't know. It was like an Elphaba moment. Like the baby is unnaturally a man, not green. Like it was
Oh my
astounding to them.
gosh, this is so funny.
So yeah, so they did not know what to name me, and they were like, "Oh, Tyler or Taylor." So my mom, bless her heart, on documentation, right, goes Tyler, Ty, and then went, "No, I want Taylor, Lor." No one checks the paperwork, and so it was all submitted, and so that's why my name is Tylor, even though I've been called Tyler my whole life.
That is.
Yeah,
But your name really was supposed to be Taylor.
Well, it was Tyler or Taylor. She was so drugged up that like like after the fact, after everything was in, she was like, "No, Tyler." Like she was just going back and forth, and then like couldn't decide. But to be fair, you know me
That's
as
a great story.
Tyler because I spelt my name like that because I was like, I don't want to be made fun of for my name ever. So I'm just going to spell it with an E. And it wasn't until my senior year in college that I was like, marketing, you need to like brand yourself. And honestly, my full name, Tylor Scott Jenkins, was the only thing across like email, Instagram, website that if I included the full thing, it's consistent among all platforms.
This makes me feel a lot better that I didn't know, because I feel like given the name that I have and how many people botch it and don't know it, like I'm usually pretty good at paying attention to names that are spelled differently. I mean, if I see the name Kaylee spelled one more version, I might throw something at a person. But like, you know what I'm saying? I usually pay attention, and I feel like, yes, because Taylor, I have had a couple Taylors, is always OR. But I've never had the OR Tyler. But that makes sense now. That is such a cool story. And I like how you set the scene. Okay, we are going back to October 13th. That is amazing. Just fun fact, Tyler, my mom thought I was going to be a boy because Charna is actually my grandfather's name. It's a boy's name in Cherokee Indian. And they thought I was going to be a boy. And when I came out a girl, she was like, well, I guess Charna still fits. I'm like, yes, it does. But yeah, she thought I was going to be a boy too. I mean, I don't know if they had an Elphaba moment. Wait, what did you say? This child is unnaturally.
Because the lyrics in "No One Mourns the Wicked" is the baby is unnaturally because they have to say every
green
vowel, consonant, whatever.
Unnaturally green.
Green, so unnaturally a boy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that has to go in my description. Oh my gosh. That really made me laugh.
Put it in. Also, I love that you use your full name as someone who uses a middle initial, because there's 900 Christopher Smiths, and there's probably not only like 800 Tyler Jenkins, because, you know, that's not as common as Christopher
Tyler
Smith.
Scott Jenkins.
Yeah, the only reason.
And I love the Scott.
No, but Ruby's name. So Ruby May, I love calling her Ruby May, and I hope she'll go by like Ruby May Lopez or Ruby May whatever if she gets married. You know what I mean? A little extra. Hello, Ruby May.
The only reason that I
love all that
spell my full name or the full middle name Scott is because otherwise it'd be Tylor's Jenkins, and that was like a lot for my brain to comprehend. And so I don't know why, it's just an extra letter, but it was not helping me out. So that's why I just threw in the whole middle name.
I love Tylor Scott. I just love saying that. I love looking at that. I love hearing that. Tylor Scott. I like it.
It's a good name.
Yeah, if someone didn't have that website already, or no, it was Instagram handle. Instagram, there's already a Tylor Scott with an O. And I was like, really? Yeah, no, every combination. Like the only option for me was first, middle, last, all the way through.
That's good though.
You couldn't even get a Tylor Scott official?
No, because pet peeve. People. Okay, this is such a random thought. The people that have like their name and official on it and they have like 1,000 followers, I don't know why that bugs me. It's one of those like are you Jonathan Groff official? No. Okay, so you're I don't want to even make up a name because then that's going to be someone else's name that has official. I'll use my mom,
So
Jessica
you mean like
Jenkins
an
official. I'm
average person?
like an average person having the word official. I'm like, what are you doing with your social media to make you the official version of this name? Like, you have to be marketing yourself in some way and have some sort of relevance. But there's some people that I follow that I
a
love,
little like
but not everyone.
pompous. It's a little pompous.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't.
Like
Not me.
Charnopher official? You're okay with Charnopher
I'm
official?
fine with
Or
that,
do you now hate
because
that
y'all
too?
have a podcast and it's great. That's okay.
Well, thanks, Tylor Scott Jenkins.
Official.
Oh man. No, but I actually get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's where it's like, and you were kind enough to not use a name, but like Sally Smith or, Joe Smith, all those common names, but like a name and just like official, you're like, why is that on there? Like, were you not official as your own self? Like you had to like add the word official?
Official.
Yeah. Yeah. With that, speaking of names and branding and things like that, that sort of leads what we kind of wanted to talk about today, in addition to meeting Tylor. So
Let's do it.
let's do it. And this was Tylor's idea, and I love it so much. And both Sharna and I, because I remember her showing me that text now, I was like, what is this? I'm like, so I'm going to say it wrong. So Sharna, you say it, and then I'll explain. Well, you can explain.
So Tylor, when we were talking about, hey, you're going to be on the podcast, and he said, have you ever discussed this topic? And he wrote it, and it was like, have you ever talked about stunt casting? And in my brain, as I read it, I was like, ooh, like stunts, like stunt people. And I was like, no, that's
Same.
kind of fun. I didn't know if Tylor like knew about that or whatnot. And then once we clarified what he meant, stunt casting, meaning like when you cast celebrities or certain named people in movies, in movie musicals, on stage, in tours, in whatever shows it might be, like casting a person for their name and their notoriety to get publicity and or ticket sales. And Tylor said he has so many thoughts on this, and I didn't know I did either until it came up. And then I was like, well, I have a lot of thoughts on this also. But Tylor, I'm going to let you kind of start and maybe discuss it a little more in depth and give us your lowdown on it.
I think it's a waste of time. I don't understand. Just to get to the point, we're just gonna say it as it is.
I love that.
All right. Thank you,
love it.
everyone. Have a good day.
And good night.
Goodbye. Charnopher out.
No, like I just think I'm not a part of the union. We'll start there. But I feel like there's so many other people that like are great for roles that instead we're putting in famous people. Hot take, very hot take on this. Merrily We Roll Along. Is that what's on Merrily We Roll Along?
Mm.
Yes, with all three of them.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say who.
Yep.
Some of them I think are great. And some of them I'm like, what type of combination were we trying to create to have these names together? I'm not knocking their talent. That's the thing with stunt casting. It's not that they're not talented. It's just for the publicity stunt. Now, this cast specifically was meant for theater people. And so like that one I'm a little more okay with. But as we were talking about pre-pod, the Cameron Dallas and the Mean Girls.
Wait, I have to. That is
Pre-pod.
such a good term. Pre-pod.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Before
I'm
the
sorry, Tylor.
podcast.
Carry on. I love that. Writing it down. Yes.
Yeah, we
yes.
got you. We got you.
But like there was no, I mean, we've all seen the bootlegs, and if you haven't and you want to have a great night, and maybe I'm not going to say anything else on it because then that's bullying. But like if you just want to have a good laugh, take a gander. But there's so many times that we'll just cast people in roles, and it's even happening like at the regional level.
Yes.
And it's very interesting to see that happen.
It would be interesting, Tylor. I agree with you. It would be interesting to hear on the other end of it what if it, I understand the purpose of it, so I don't need to be told that, but if it actually makes a difference, right? One of the ones that stands out to me a lot is when we went through that season of making live TV musicals, and we did Peter
Yes.
Pan, and we did Sound of Music, and we did Grease live, and the one that really got me was The Sound of Music, because, and I think I can speak, the other ones I would get in trouble for, because there are some that I'm like, why in the actual world? But this one, when they cast Carrie Underwood, I love Carrie Underwood. So
Me
this is
too.
why I feel like it's not like I don't like her, or I don't think she has one of the best voices that I have ever heard. I think she's a great musician and artist, but she's not an actress at all. So Carrie Underwood, my queen, I'll have you sing your face off to me. But I sat there and I was so disappointed, not in Carrie Underwood. I felt bad for Carrie Underwood, where I was like, why are they putting her in this position when there are literally hundreds of thousands of people who could have done this better than her? And you're absolutely right, Tyler. It's to get people to tune in. It's to make the money. Now, I will say, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. I had someone, when we talked about this during the whole Sound of Music thing, I had someone tell me, but Charna, think of it this way. It's also exposing mainstream people to musical theater who would have never tuned in to watch this at all if it didn't have a name like that, right? And I thought, okay, maybe that like helps a little bit, but I think as a theater person and a lover of especially the Sound of Music, like what it makes my skin crawl. And I think a lot of that was done in those movie musicals, and even recent ones, where it's just like, we don't need, and I'll call it out, Les Mis, when they did the Les Mis movie, why are we using some of those people when people would have still come to see Les Mis had we used actual musical theater people? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Christopher, thoughts?
Well, it's so funny because I was just having a conversation just recently with somebody from a local regional theater. Local regional? I feel like that's redundant. A regional theater around here about bringing in people from New York, even if they're not like big names, but bringing in people from New York to play the roles here in LA. And it's like, I was like, why? Like, why are we spending the money to do that? There's so many talented people out here in LA. Some of them even former Broadway people that just now live out here. Like, why are we flying people in? That seems ridiculous to me. And they didn't have a great answer for it because they don't really understand it either, but at least not fully. But they did say one thing that I found maybe would be, so, there's some truth to it, which is when it's such a short rehearsal process, if you have somebody that's already done such a large role of a show, bringing them in already knowing the show and having done it on Broadway or something like that, there's a lot of benefit and security to that for the cast and for the show. So
that makes sense. I guess that's a good point. I still think as like people who perform, and look, I don't really have a desire to perform anymore, but I can't imagine some of these people who are trying to get the work and be in the industry and know, like, I could do this, or I know 6 people that could do it. And then you see, star number 5 just swoop in and you're like, wait, what? Like, why?
Yeah. It's like that age-old thing, for this job, you need 5 years of experience. But it's like, where am I going to get 5 years of experience if nobody will hire me because everybody wants 5 years of experience? And it's like, what?
That's such a good
point. Get it together, people.
And I don't know, Tyler, I don't know. We talked a little bit about like the financial part of it, and we don't need to be super specific with scenarios, but you gave us a scenario where it didn't matter. Like when they had hired a more famous person and had sold a bunch of tickets, and then when they swapped that person out, it didn't change people. People weren't wanting refunds. People weren't. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just give spread the wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what makes things interesting. Not to talk about Wicked, because this is my favorite show to go on a tangent about. Wicked has yet to, my knowledge, stunt cast an Elphaba or a Galinda, I'm not talking about the Wicked movie. That's a different topic of conversation. That's a stepsister. We don't need her
Thank
in
you.
this topic of
Thank
conversation.
you. Let's
But
talk about that.
but specifically for the national tours, for how many different countries are they in right now for their Broadway residency? Like they have not needed to. Now, have they brought people back like Kevin Chamberlain, who was with Wicked and then did television, then come back? Like also with stunt casting, this has nothing to do with the people that can do both. Like Dove Cameron, TV and musical theater. I think she's great in both. That's not necessarily who I'm talking about. Like in Hairspray, I thought she was great.
I do too.
I also like Kristen Chenoweth. I also think they do great as mother-daughter. I think that's a great combo, and hence the Wicked movie. And do you know what? Let's talk about the Wicked movie. Okay, so this is my little thing with it. Okay, because I think Cynthia is absolutely the correct choice for Elphaba. I think she's great. I think that was very smart. That's my opinion. I just love her in general. Her and Bettina Miller. God, like I love them. They are chef's kiss. Love them to death. Who is going to play the opposite of Cynthia? Who can you see working with her more? Is it going to be Dove or is it going to be Ariana? Dove is giving like an Act 1 Elphaba, younger. She can still play that. When Ariana still has the age range to where she could play like a college Galinda, but then also like if needed to, could be a more adult Galinda. Well, when she turns into Glinda, but
can I jump in real quick? And I'm just I have a dumb moment. Have they not cast the Galinda yet? I thought it was definitely Ariana.
No, it is Ariana, but Ariana and Dove were the two that were like in the running for it. And I think Dove would have been great over Ariana Grande. But that's also where I feel like the stunt casting comes into play of like, okay, she's great, but did we hear her The Wizard and I performance at the 15th anniversary? I did. I don't know if casting did. Maybe that was a testing. But anyway. But then again, that was Elphaba. That was not Glinda.
I was there.
I was there. I heard it. Don't know what everyone else was doing. But
I think it's more of an acting thing for me. I'm really curious to see how, because honestly, I like Ariana Grande's voice. I think it's got something there, but it's also not musical theater to me. It's very pop, and I know that Wicked, yes, is a more modern musical, but it still has so much classic, especially Galinda. There's so much classic vocal stylings that I'm curious, and I don't want to knock it before I see it. But my more concern is her acting.
Ariana started in musical theater. Like she was in 13. It's not that she doesn't have like a musical theater background, because she does, but also it's like I feel like she's been disconnected from that since being 15, 16, and then went on Victorious, and then like just went for Sam and Cat, whatever that spinoff was, and like ever since then it's been pop music. That is how she's, so like for her to return to her roots, I'm like, okay, but did you go to Cal State Fullerton and transfer from Fullerton College to get your BFA in musical theater, or were we being a nationally recognized TV star? Which one were we doing? It's two different fields. I don't know. I'm intrigued.
Oh my gosh, I love
goes.
that so much. And I am too. And that's what I actually, I feel oftentimes, and my husband reminds me of this stuff too. Like theater people are judgy. We are judgy people. We really are.
We really are.
We are. And I think that it's, sometimes I watch and I'm like, Sharna, oh my gosh, like I couldn't do that. Like why am I over here like knocking Ariana Grande? Like I can't sing like that queen can. But I think it's not that. It's more of, we know that there could have, and I don't know, I haven't seen her performance. Maybe she's going to like wow us, and we're going to come back on here and have to do, like once the Wicked movie comes out, a secondary podcast talking about it. I really think we have to.
100%.
Because I agree with Dove Cameron, Tyler, but you know what the funny thing is? I have several people who cannot stand Dove Cameron, and they think she cannot, they don't like her voice, and that she's not a good actress. And it's so interesting to see personal preferences, right? So I don't know. But I think it's because I don't want to say we know better, but like the average person is going to look at something theatrical and musical different than we look at something theatrical and musical, right? And it's like, we
Correct.
know 6 people that were in our 9th grade class that could probably do that better right now than that person.
I think that's so true.
When does it
Sharon.
come out? When does the Wicked movie come out?
November 27th, 2024. I could be totally wrong on that, but let me see. I think it's November 27th.
Wait, we have to wait a whole year?
I was right. November 27th.
Are they still
2024?
Okay, crazy fan. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's what I will say. We've talked about musicals to movies in the other episode. I love Wicked so very much that I have to like have like a Zen mantra moment before I see this movie of like, Sharna, it's not going to be the musical. It's not going to be the musical. It's not going to be the musical. But I will say, when I saw In the Heights, the movie, I actually really enjoyed
Me too.
the changes and kind of how they made it cinematic. So my fingers are crossed that they're going to make it cinematic and make it even better, because I will be throwing my popcorn at a neighbor if they start to do some ridiculous shenanigans in that movie, because I think that musical is just gorgeous and beautiful and so well done. And are they making it into 2 movies?
Yes, they're doing a part 1 and a part 2. Because here's my thing. I want to know if how they're splitting it. Are they doing like an act 1, act 2?
I believe that is what they're doing.
Okay. I would like that.
Oh. I mean, I feel like it's naturally written to end at intermission, right? Like Defying Gravity, that's intermission, right?
Yes, it is.
But that's a weird ending for a movie.
Thank you. That's exactly
it is. So
what
I'm
I
not
was
sure
gonna
how
say.
they're going to do it exactly.
Yeah.
But I read an article, I was reading about it, and I believe that's what it is. And I think the reason, because I was like, why are they splitting it into 2 at all? Like, why is this happening? And I think that they wanted to take a little bit more time telling the story, and they didn't want to cut anything out to be able to really tell the story completely. But then my answer is, I'm like, can we just remember back in the day when we had movies that were literal 3 hours long and they had an intermission in the theater?
Yeah.
Like, and I realized
that would have been cool.
You don't have to tell me all the answers as to why they are, because I know most of them, and most of them involve dollar signs. But but still, come on. But I was also going to add, Sharna, because you were saying like sometimes they might be able to make it even better as a movie. And I think there's something about the fact that it has its roots in Wizard of Oz, which was a movie, and it's a cinematic experience first to the world population, that there will be some basis of understanding from a cinematic perspective already in our minds, that it won't feel so shocking unless they do something really stupid, which I don't think they will. But you know what I mean? Like,
I don't
feel
think so
like we
either.
have a
Who's
baseline.
directing it? Do you know who's directing it?
I don't know.
Tyler probably does.
Yeah, I thought it was, I might butcher his name, John Chu, Chu. He's the one that directed Crazy Rich Asians.
I'm excited to see it. I think it's just hit or miss. And I also think it's how you feel about a show, right? So like the Into the Woods movie, we talked a lot about the Into the Woods movie over the last month, because obviously I just did Into the Woods with my students. And some of them, that's the only thing they knew was the movie. I don't hate, right, Tyler? I know, but that's like,
that's so
they
sad.
don't know. That's it. They're like, yeah, I've seen the movie. But it's interesting because like Ruby loved the movie. She loved it because she had no other anything before it, right? So if you have no other idea and you see it, I think you look at it differently and you're like, oh, I really love this. It's not that I didn't like the Into the Woods movie. I just feel like when you have a certain affinity toward a musical or something, or a book, it happens a lot with my oldest stepdaughter. She loves reading. And then when you go see the movie and you're like, no. It makes it a little difficult. And so I do think sometimes I want to give grace, because, you know, they do their best to try and make it, you know, for the screen. I feel like we should all go see it together. And then we will have to come back and do like a review.
I know you can't like record the screen in a movie theater, but like, could you like record yourself watching it? Like it's like a live reaction sort of thing. and then it's like a
Oh
compilation.
my gosh.
Like, and
I
that's
would
for the
get kicked out.
YouTubers to watch. All those that watch
Yeah.
this on YouTube can watch the compilation of just like the best like facial reactions, and then Sharna grabbing Christopher like, no,
Yes.
no.
Over and over, and then like having a moment in the theater. Oh my gosh.
I will be
Yes.
covered
Yes,
in
please.
popcorn at least once. I guarantee it.
Right? Or the other side of it too, like trying to be glass half full, is like there also might be some really cool stuff that's surprising. And that's what I
Yeah.
felt like within the
Yeah.
Heights, where I was like, what? Oh, that's so cool. When they tilt the building in
And
that
we're
one
dancing on the
song, when
building.
I was like, you could never do this on stage. Or when they have like the little graphics, like as they're singing and walking down the street, like that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, I like it. Like they still kept the movie or the musical and like its core, but they like added cinema. So I'm interested. I mean, the magic of Wicked.
Yeah.
I mean, the spells and the flying and all that kind of stuff will be really, really cool. I mean, I hope, if they don't mess it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so too. Well, you know, like CGI these days, like there's been some Marvel things that have been released that I'm like, did we digress? What happened? Like that one, what was it? The most recent Doctor Strange, where like they had him like add the third eye, and I'm like, that is just bad. Like I can't do
Yep.
it. I'm not saying I could do any better,
Yep.
but that is not as good of quality as like we've had. So that's what concerns me about the flying. 'Cause I'm like, well, hope it looks real.
Yeah, let's hope not. I felt that way about the Little Mermaid movie. I actually really liked the Little Mermaid movie, but there were a couple things where I was like, whoa, are we back to like early Star Wars puppetry? Like, what are we
Yes.
doing? You know? And then some of it, I was like, this is a magical. How did they make this happen? You know, like it's hit or miss. And again, Tyler, like I'm not in that industry. I wouldn't know the first thing about it, but I do think as a consumer of it, we do see a lot of it, and so we're judgy.
That's what we're just boiling this down to. We are just judgy. End of story.
And that is the title of this episode.
Oh gosh.
It might have to be judgy with the unnaturally man. What did you say? That made me laugh so hard. I have to go
Who
back and
is
listen to that.
unnaturally.
We gotta shut this down, Christopher. We could talk
Okay.
to Tyler for 5 hours, apparently.
Yeah.
But
we could.
we're gonna have to call it. And Tyler, would you be willing to come back after the Wicked musical and or another time? But
Absolutely.
to discuss. That would be a fun episode. Okay. Thank you so much for being on and making time. And I'm so glad that we were able to reconnect with you and hear about all you're doing. And we appreciate you being on here and offering your uncommon sense to our podcast.
Of course. The
Yeah.
biggest Charna fan around.
I know.
Aw.
Truly is. He's winning in the Charnophan department. Everyone else, you got to step it up. All right. So thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Charnopher Official. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Like and follow on whatever podcast platform that you listen to so you don't miss any new episodes. And if you have any other questions or want to get some merch, head over to uncommonpod.com. And on that note, Charnopher and
Charnopher
Tyler out.
out. Woo woo.
Out.
Oh,
I wanna go.
so fun.
Out tonight.
Another stunt cast.
This concludes another episode of Uncommon Sense. If you're ready for more of this fresh, hilarious, and unique perspective on the world of entertainment, education, and life, be sure to subscribe right now to catch every episode. If you gasped, laughed out loud, or even snorted, share the show with your friends and aspiring entertainers because, let's be real, sharing is caring. For more Charnopher, tune in to their witty insights by checking out the website uncommonpod.com or connecting on social media. Tune in next week and get the real insider scoop on another episode of Uncommon Sense.